Super Mario World Blind Race by CO Kadelic. And I am never going to say no to Facing Worlds. Welcome to week 73 of Romhack Races. The pipes surrounded by midways will save your progress. Good luck and have fun. CO. Been around for nearly 200 weeks. I know the feeling. I know the feeling. I'm curious. I'd have to look up what the earliest one I ever raced was. I'm mildly curious. I do remember doing this one. This was early-ish in 2020. Apparently the 2nd of February. Oh God, how long ago that was. What a weird time that was, too. That was right before COVID. That's not what made it weird for me. Startup was going through some rough times that I went on a sabbatical for a few months. Because they couldn't afford to pay me. And so I was like, I'll have a lot more free time to do cool stuff, and I never did any really cool stuff. Just how it goes sometimes. Been a bit similar to recent times. My startup has been kind of imploding for a while now. I need to hold there, I think. But I've been doing some more contract work recently. It's been good for me. Though what I'm producing is something no one could ever possibly have actively wanted in their life. Take Jira tickets and turn them into VMs. Effing seriously. Oh, you need a full jump there. God, this song just fills me with a sense of nostalgia. Oh, you between the pipes. You've never played Unreal Tournament. Unreal Tournament was just a huge step forward in so many important ways. And honestly, it was just a blast. Oh, shouldn't have been impatient. Like, I would often just start it up, go play on Facing Worlds for a bit, or one of the other maps and just shoot bots, and even then it wouldn't matter. You're still having a good time. Still have an article open somewhere about the effect drum and bass had. There we go. On video game music in the 2000s. Which I find fascinating. Oh, right. Okay, I really do need to land that first one. Not like that, though. I think you saw an awful lot of interesting stuff happening in video game music between, probably... what would that be? Like 95 and early 2000s? I don't know, man. But basically right before Redbook really became the common standard thing. Or really compressed audio files in general, like MP3 and other formats became good enough for game audio. Because circa 1995, let's say you were actually shipping with Redbook audio, what you'd be doing is you're playing the tracks directly off the CD. Some games did this. An awful lot didn't. Symphony of the Night is one of the PlayStation games I can actually... No, did that one? No, it has... That one's actually funny because it actually has a little warning saying that with I want to say Dracula. Oh. Where Dracula actually warns you, playing this in your regular CD player will cause it to break or may cause damage to your speakers. This is for PlayStation only. Sophie's Sega CD has a really solid soundtrack. I feel like you've told me this before. Was that actually Redbook? Fascinating, thanks. And it's so funny we use the word Redbook, right? I've never actually seen the Redbook. Oh, those are short ones. I mean, basically, occasionally you get like multi-session CDs. I forget the exact term, but basically like CDs that supported multiple formats. It's like multimedia CDs or karaoke CDs of all things. I know Dreamcast CDs occasionally would come with little goodies, So if you ever played Sonic Adventure, if you put Sonic Adventure in your PC, there were a bunch of backgrounds you could use with various characters rendered in various places, which I thought was actually a nice little touch. But yeah, I don't know how many games actually did use Redbook audio, just because like you'd have to burn all of your CD bandwidth to do that, and especially in early things, you weren't able to necessarily get all your resources into RAM before you started. Oh, whoops. Like, PlayStation had an anemic amount of memory. And so you couldn't really necessarily afford to burn all of your, or to load all your resources at the same time. You did need to stream them in. There's whole articles about this if you're really curious about PlayStation development written by, I want to say Andy Gavin, about Crash Bandicoot and how it handled this. It streamed in everything. Because it had to. So you couldn't afford to actually spend your CPU cycles, or you couldn't afford to play Redbook audio because you needed that bandwidth in the CD. So it's better to go and do synthesized stuff. Because I'm pretty sure it still had a sound chip of sorts on the PlayStation. I don't know that much about it. Yeah, sampled audio, especially in that era where they could start putting in decent samples, because like the audio processor had some free space, free memory space that really wasn't usable by other stuff. Like the Super Nintendo, you can't really use the APU memory for anything else. You could use VPU memory if you want, but you shouldn't. But it's there. All right. Dang it! But then we got to like the Xbox era, Xbox 360 era, where they're using DVDs and have a lot of memory. So constraints that existed no longer mattered. You could just pick up your, and especially because compression technology improved vastly. I want to say the Xbox 360 actually had an audio coprocessor that could pick up compressed things and simply play them. And because the audio processor was doing this, it didn't cost you anything. Ow, I need to hug the left side. Whereas like doing sampling and mixing on the main CPU could cost you stuff, but you'd be winning in memory bandwidth. Like there's a bunch of weird trade-offs you had to consider back then just aren't relevant anymore. If you want to play audio in your game nowadays, you call Play Audio, or whatever it's called in Unity, or your other engine of choice, without really thinking much about it. To be fair, it was similar in Windows. You'd have your waves or what have you. Or sometimes you would actually need to play things off of CD, but for PC it didn't matter so much. Because there was the audio bypass cable. So instead of actually reading through, instead of reading all the CD audio through and going through the CPU and doing all sorts of DMA nonsense, there was actually just a cable you'd attach from your CD-ROM drive to the Sound Blaster. And it would, send the command, play this, and it would work, and it would play it directly to the sound card and do the mixing over there, saving you CPU time. And memory. There we go. Xbox 360 was built in Media Center, literally shipping with Windows Media Center client. Wasn't surprised I had an APU. I mean, I think it was one of those things that the devs wanted too. Like, it just is a smart move, especially in the era of MP3, which happened just right before that. That cable was and is... It makes perfect sense if you think about it, though. You don't want to burn valuable bandwidth, wasting time going between... Oh, I thought that was a through the pipe one. Going all the way through the CPU. Like, Especially considering when CD-ROM drives were added to computers, like, it would have cost a lot of effort and bandwidth. So, it was totally worth it. Not just for games, but for, like, people listening to CDs at work and whatnot. There was one fellow who wrote a lengthy complaint about a computer that was bought at, I want to say, it was a Compaq. His roommate had bought a Compaq. No, he hadn't. His parents had bought him a Compaq computer. And this was the era where everyone just built their own computers. Buy parts online, put it together yourself, warranty be damned. He wrote this long thing called Bill versus the Craputer. And one of his complaints about it was, one, they skipped... Oh, one was really bad. One, they skipped all down the cable, so basically it slowed down CD... Playing a CD-ROM would actually make the computer noticeably slower. And one of the requirements this kid had was that it should be able to play... What was it? Any David Bowie CD with any David Bowie screensaver at the same time or something. It was something silly. CD manufacturers already had audio decoding and playback hardware, so it was basically free to play it. Yeah. Not dissimilar to the expansion pass-through, except it's not built in and has its own weird bypass cable. Like I said, I think it's just a product of its time. There was eventually reached a point where the cable was no longer necessary because we had the memory bandwidth to just not worry about it. Huh. I'm not determine if I got lucky there or not. Thump. Yeah. Oh, whoops. Okay. I've got at least a couple games that actually use the CD bypass, the CD as a way, and if you don't have a CD bypass cable, it just doesn't work. Like, I considered playing Cyclones on stream like a million years ago, and it's just not going to work because you don't get the banging soundtrack if that's happening. And that is unacceptable to me. I think I asked Squiggles about it at some point, and he said he had like 50 of them, and then I completely forgot about it. Oh, needed one more bounce. Yeah, the Bill versus Craputer thing was funny because, like, the guy who ended up with Windows Me, they ended up having to, like, go down a few levels of Windows to try and make it so he could actually do stuff and hunt for drivers on the CD that it came with. Just awful stuff. OEM computers, especially back then, had so much crap installed on them that you basically never would want. Nowadays, I think they still ship with so much shit you don't want, but I haven't had to use a Windows machine in that context in a very long time. So one of the contracts I'm working on is going to require having a specifically formatted Windows machine, which will be annoying. Okay. Whoops. Just find it interesting how tech changes over time. Since we were mentioning Weird Al songs off of Running with Scissors, since Pretty Fly for a Rabbi was actually relevant to what we were playing. Who Stole Hanukkah? All About the Pentiums, you know, makes fun of people for not having upgraded in the last, like, 5 minutes. Deal with whatever bullshit Windows requires, so means you have to deal with worse from Apple now. The alternative is Linux. That was even suggested in the Bill versus the Craputer thing, is like, will Linux play Ultima 7? I don't think so. Just take that one off the list. Alright. Okay, so there's a lot of things going on at once. Do one. No! I got spooked. Wait, what? Oh. That's how you win. But you just like Linux? You just like it less than Apple's? It is certainly not, and never will be, Lear of Linux on the desktop. It's true. It never will be. Or Slashdot. Netcraft even confirmed it. Foregone Destruction by Dippy, ported by Dippy. Meiotic Dance by Sync. Eternal Larva for custom sprites. Hero, Faro, and Sync X for design help. Long time ago. Wait. That is a real Yoshi. That says the same thing. Okay. Was weird. Alright. Well, I'm taking my Yoshi with me. And just the audio's dead now. That's weird. Fun level, though. It's kind of a nostalgic trip. How long did that take me? Let's see. It took me... Let's go back in the level because the track's a banger. And I can stand still at the beginning of the level, which is nice. It took me 15 minutes. Thereabouts. Let's see. According to this, it took me 41 minutes last time. I was second to last. That's not terrible. 15 minutes puts me a little bit past Orcas with a recognizable name, a little bit or before Ninja Lifestyle. I think also changed their name. But yeah, fun level, good nostalgic trip. I enjoyed it.